Hey everyone, I'm Sherry Westenberg and this is your CFA YouTube channel. Today I'm bringing you a message from Salvatore Battaglia. The CFA is doing a masterclass in cooperation with Salvatore. It will begin in May of 2021. Now you do have to sign up for this masterclass. You can sign up directly from our website, cfacanada.com. And with your tuition, you will be getting the complete guide to Aromatherapy Volume III, Psyche and Subtle with your registration. So seats are limited and the registration is going to be closing soon. So sign up today. Here's your personalized message from Sal.
On behalf of the Canadian Federation of Aromatherapists, I am sincerely grateful and honoured to be able to present to you this year my online masterclasses. The topic of the online masterclasses is exploring the spiritual dimensions of aromatherapy. The idea for this year's masterclasses came as I was writing Volume 3, the Psyche and the Subtle. Volume 3 is going to be the second of the third edition that is available. Many of you, by the way, would have studied aromatherapy using the second edition, which you may be familiar with, the Complete Guide to Aromatherapy. I think this was written in the mid-2000s. It took me a while to get round to updating it, but 3 years ago I had finally completed the third edition. In the process of updating the book, I really honestly felt that I would be able to update the entire second edition in one book. How wrong was I? The third edition is actually now going to be 3 volumes. For those of you that have Volume 1, which covers the materia medica and all the foundations of aromatherapy, the botany, and understanding of the essential oil safety and the origins of essential oils, you would have noticed in the foreword that I said Volume 2 is coming out next, and there wasn't actually any mention to Volume 3. But in the light of events that had happened over the last couple of years and with COVID, I realized as I started to write one of the chapters, which was exploring the spiritual aspects of aromatherapy, I realized that there was so much more to learn. And before I knew it, I realized that I had to. It ended up becoming an entire book on its own. I do look forward to sharing with you. One of the actual evenings will be like a little private book launch for all the aromatherapists in Canada. So I do look forward to sharing with you some of the contents within the Volume 3, the Psyche and the Subtle. And by the way, the CFA will have available for its members the book will be available, and it might, I'm sure, save you some freight as well. Now, I just wanted to spend a bit of time running through the individual sessions that I will be covering in this upcoming online masterclass. And I do sincerely hope that you can join me for this really wonderful, wonderful, amazing event. As I said, the overall title of the 8 sessions is called Exploring the Spiritual Dimensions of Aromatherapy. One of the sessions I have referred to, the title is referred to as Re-Shamanizing Aromatherapy. In Re-Shamanizing Aromatherapy, I wanted to explore the traditional roles of shamanism. And not suggesting at all that we need to introduce traditional shamanic practices into aromatherapy, but I wanted to understand and identify the aspects of shamanic practices around the world that elicit a therapeutic outcome. Now, I make use of I draw on some very interesting words in this session, such as the role of psycho-integrators. And I actually make a bold statement to suggest that essential oils have a role to play as psycho-integrators. To learn more about this, you will have to enroll in the masterclass. So I just want to give you a little bit of a teaser there, but it is very, very exciting that I do believe that aromatherapy, the use of essential oils, I believe is in a unique position to re-shamanize healing practices, and I hope that this session will give you some insight into how this can be achieved. One of the other sessions, we will explore from a more traditional perspective the role of scent within culture and within traditional spiritual practices. And I suggest that the way that our ancestors used aromatic ingredients and essential oils is influenced, especially the subtle aspects that we've come to understand about aromatherapy and essential oils. However, I wanted to dig deeper. We often see lists of essential oils that work within a more subtle and spiritual realm, and we often wonder, how did we ever come up with that connection between the use of the essential oils within the spiritual realm? I suggest, and I've identified 6 key factors that I believe contribute to the spiritual dimension of scent, and this helps us to understand how we can better use essential oils. So in this session we will look at biophilia, the connection with nature. We look at the emotion and the science behind awe, how we are often in awe of nature, how we are often in awe of essential oils. Well, I know that I certainly am. We look at the role that scent has traditionally played in creating sacred spaces and how sacred spaces can become healing spaces. We look at the role of rituals and the science that underpins rituals. We also explore myths, how myths are created, the role of myths, and how these myths have been intertwined with our understanding of aromatics. Now, all of these can also be linked, underpinning them by neurobiology. So we also examine the neurobiological pathways that integrates these 6 key factors. This is certainly, I consider, like a groundbreaking approach to understanding the spiritual dimension of scent. In the next session, I decide that the presentation will focus on exploring and discussing those key essential oils that have traditionally played such an important role in aromatherapy and the more subtle aspects of aromatherapy. Some of the oils that we will be discussing include benzoin, the cedarwood oils, cypress, frankincense, lotus, myrrh, patchouli, rock rose, the rose oils, oud, spikenard, sandalwood, vetiver, and a very rare and sacred oil from Japan, yakusugi. So this session will explore how we can use these essential oils, and maybe we'll even have a time for a little bit of creative fun and a bit of blending in this particular session. Over the years of using essential oils at a more subtle energetic level, I've come to really relate to using essential oils through chakras. So some of you may have a copy of Aromatherapy and Chakras. In this book I explore how we can use essential oils with a framework within the framework of chakras. I believe that the framework of and I will refer to more the Western framework of chakras relates beautifully with essential oils, because I really do think of them. They have been referred to like each chakra as a psycho-spiritual center, and each essential oil resonates and vibrates at a certain energy level associated with each of the chakras. In this session, I'll also look at a very interesting report. I think this report comes out almost yearly now, and it's the World Health Organization World Happiness Report. It's interesting how the key measures of happiness, I've been able to map them to each of the chakra energy chakra centers, and we relate how this gives us a better perspective on how we can understand essential oils at a more subtle level. My background before I studied aromatherapy in the 80s was traditional Chinese medicine. As soon as I discovered aromatherapy, I had this aha moment. I said, oh my God, why aren't we using essential oils in the same way that TCM, Chinese medicine, is taught? It just makes so much more sense. And after all, we're practicing at a more holistic level. Instead, the way that I had been taught aromatherapy involved this long list of properties, and then having to remember these list of properties with the essential oils. Some of these properties, there was no correlation, and of course we looked for the correlation by understanding the chemistry of the essential oil. However, when we start to look at the essential oils more from an energetic perspective, what effect it has on heat or on damp or on cold, it suddenly becomes clearer. We can see the pattern and the association. Now, in this session, remember these sessions are only going to be 1 hour. I've decided to focus on one small aspect of TCM, and that is the 5 elements. And I have decided to look at the psycho-spiritual dimension of the five elements, how each of the elements is assigned a certain psycho-spiritual aspect, and how we can associate it with the various essential oils. I think you'll find this particular session quite interesting. Across the world, I am sure that health authorities around the world, not only are we battling the rollout of vaccinations and worried about different strains of the COVID virus, one of the big concerns has become mental health. I think mental health has been a challenge for Western societies for a long time. But with the lockdowns and with the restrictions that have been put in place and the changes to our regular lifestyle that we've probably come to enjoy, mental health has become a greater challenge. I feel that aromatherapy is well positioned to address many of the challenges associated with aromatherapy, especially as mental health care practitioners and the whole healthcare professionals are starting to look at a more, what I call a biosocial approach to managing many of mental health issues. So I think aromatherapy fits into this framework quite beautifully. So one of the session 7, Aromatherapy and Mental Health, looks at ways in which we can incorporate essential oils, and how as aromatherapists we can contribute to improving, a word that I like to use, allowing individuals to flourish. I also am very critical of us taking a very narrow biomedical interventionist approach to essential oils. And in one way, this is what we cover in session 8, the last session, which is the neuropsychopharmacology of essential oils. Without a doubt, over the last decade, two decades, and last decade in particular, we have come to understand with much more clarity how essential oils have an effect on our psyche and on our mental health. And there is, to a large degree, what I would refer to as a psychopharmacological basis for this. In this last session, we will look at the latest research and identify how many of the essential oils, the influence that they have on our neurotransmission and on our nervous system. And we also explore, here we will explore how a better understanding of olfaction has also given us a much more clarity in terms of how essential oils have what I call a neurobiological effect on our nervous system. I do hope you will, I do look forward, I do hope that I'm looking forward very much to this presentation. Sorry, I'm getting so excited already. I do look forward to presenting this. We will have an opportunity at the end of each session for a little bit of a Q&A as well. So this was only meant to be a little promo video, but I hope that it's giving you some insight into what you can expect in the spiritual dimension of aromatherapy. Thank you very much, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.